Okay, so in last class, we discussed a lot of things in HTML, previous classes, whatever we done so far. And today onwards, what I'm trying to doing is, I'm trying to go with the CSS. Okay, let me go with the CSS from today onwards. Okay, so let's start with the nodes. I create a new folder now. Okay, new folder. The date I'm giving something like 11 by 8. And here, I'll create a notepad for nodes CSS separately. Okay, what I want to do is I will go with the sublime text. Okay, so today onwards we are discussing about CSS. Can I go with the notepad? This is black and white. Okay, I don't want this. I want to go with the notepad itself. So today we will discuss about CSS. Basically, on top of HTML, CSS is going to be overlapping. In real scenario, how this web application, how this web page is going to be look like. I will give you a simple picture first of all. So we are already know about HTML and what is the benefit of HTML we know. HTML benefit is basically to create a web pages. Just to create a web pages, we want to go for the HTML. Okay, let me go. So for example, this is HTML. This is HTML. We already know about the HTML. Okay, so HTML is just a markup and where you can able to design your web page. This is the skeleton of the web page. Skeleton of a web page. On top of this HTML, there is one more concept which is going to be available for the web component. That concept is a very important concept. On top of the HTML, one more web component which is going to be available. This is concept basically, not a programming language. The concept syntax. HTML is markup, CSS is syntax. See how to provide decorations, how to provide cosmetic changes, how to apply styles for HTML. Basically, people are working on CSS. When you provide CSS to the HTML, when we inject CSS for the HTML, automatically page is getting beautified. And page is colorful. Page is very look, feel good. On top of this HTML and CSS, later we will be having some JavaScript. See what this JavaScript is. JavaScript is functional. See what is the meaning of functional is. I'll tell you one thing. Whenever you want to move something on the page, I want to make a dynamic data. I want to create a dynamic data. I need to send data to the server, or I want to receive the data from server. Page data is going to be changing. For example, if you see YouTube application, if I open YouTube now, there are different kind of thumbnails you can able to see, video thumbnails. After 2 minutes, if you open YouTube again, there are multiple other different kind of thumbnails you can able to see. For example, if you open Facebook now, some recent post you can able to see what of people actually or friends or different kind of followers. What you people can see is not available after 1 second, after 2 seconds. Why? Because there is another post will come. When you refresh the page, automatically data is going to be changed. Lot of data is going to be coming from the databases, from the servers to the HTML and CSS. HTML is just a page design. CSS is only for decoration or styles or cosmetic changes or making page beautify. But HTML, CSS, when you are using HTML and CSS, page is a dummy page. Dummy page, nothing but a static page. It will not change the data. The data is permanent. Data is not going to be changing with HTML and CSS. But when you apply JavaScript or when you inject JavaScript on top of the HTML and CSS, then automatically your data is live, your page is live, and you can able to watch the scores. You can able to observe the stock market, stocks changes, and lot of things. Suppose I want to submit the data from the form. When I am filling the form, when the user filling the form, that particular data need to submit to the server. That username and password need to be registered in the server. Later, the user want to see the data, want to watch the pages or watch the things, and he can go with the username and password and click on sign in button. Automatically, he can able to observe what he posted and what he need to post something. His page he can able to see. In the same way, whenever you want to develop a dynamic web page, compulsory HTML, CSS, JavaScript also required. With HTML and CSS, you can able to create only static pages. Remember it. With HTML and CSS, what we can do is we can able to develop a static web page, just a static web page. But when you are injecting JavaScript, automatically your complete web page is dynamic web page. When you apply, yeah, I will tell you. For example, okay, I will tell you one thing. You are asking a simple question. What is a static? What is a dynamic? Okay. So one real world example I will show. HTML, CSS, HTML versus CSS versus JavaScript. Now you can see some images. Then you can able to easily understand how the thing is working. Okay, let me go. You can see this. You can observe this diagram. What this diagram is actually reflecting to you. HTML is skeleton. What we done so far is just we build a skeleton. For skeleton, I am giving some pattern shirt. Some body is there, some body color is there, hair is there, shoe is there, shirt is there, pant is there. See, all this is something like a decoration. See, when we are giving some decoration, this skeleton got converted into human body. Got my point? For this particular skeleton, when we are applying CSS, automatically this is getting some look and feel. This is not having any look and feel. But this skeleton got some hair, this skeleton got some color, eyes, and shirt and pant. Automatically, this is look feel good. But what about this particular skeleton? This is something like a coma patient. This is something like a coma patient. This is like a toy. This is something like a toy. But after this JavaScript, this toy is actually moving. Can you please observe here? This toy is jumping, this toy is running, this toy is crying, this toy is sleeping, this toy is laughing, all these things. There are different kind of operations performing on that particular toy. This is a dynamic toy. Got my point? See, what is the major difference between the HTML, CSS and JavaScript is very simple, straightforward. HTML is skeleton. What CSS can do for the skeleton is, CSS gives some look and feel good. CSS is going to be giving some colors, background colors, font styles, text decorations, positions. But my point, there are different kind of cosmetic applies. There are different kind of styles we need to apply on top of the skeleton. Then automatically on top of the skeleton, we are actually giving some beautiness. On top of this boy, we are applying some JavaScript. When JavaScript is applying, this boy can do a lot of works. What this boy can do? Tell me, sir. What this boy can do? What is the difference between the coma patient and normal human person? Normal person. What coma patient can do?
Skeleton cannot move, but boy can move.
Okay, but without skeleton, boy will come. See, without skeleton, boy will come. Without skeleton, boy will come. If boy is not there, a boy can do any kind of operations. First of all, boy need to be ready. Boy need to be ready. This is basically static page. This is basically a static page. This is actually included with the skeleton, right? This person, this boy already have some skeleton inside. Got my point? This is combination of HTML and CSS. Obviously, this is combination of HTML and CSS. HTML is already available inside. Without HTML, without skeleton, can I give the pant? Can I give the shirt for the person? Without skeleton. Without skeleton, some skin tone is available or not? Without skeleton, some skin is available or not? Without skeleton, some flesh is available or not? Without skeleton, some hair is available or not? First of all, skeleton is important. HTML is important. When we have HTML knowledge, then only we can apply CSS on top of the HTML. Remember it. On top of the HTML, we are applying CSS. On top of the HTML only, we are applying CSS. So HTML knowledge is compulsory to write the CSS code, to write the CSS syntaxes. Then boy is getting ready. But what is the uses of the coma patient? The coma patient need to act something. The coma patient need to sing something, talk something, sleep something, walk something. See, there are multiple operations I can able to perform on top of the human, for example. Okay, if I apply singing for this person, he can able to sing. If I apply some other kind of operation to this person, he can able to do. Yes or no? So those kind of works in real time JavaScript. Fuel for the HTML and CSS is JavaScript. JavaScript is the fuel. Without fuel, a vehicle will run. Without fuel, a vehicle will run. Soul, heart and soul for the web page is JavaScript. Okay, later we will discuss about the JavaScript. Right now, we need to talk about the CSS, but that CSS should be on top of the HTML. Is it clear? See, I want to learn a different kind of syntaxes, sir. I want to learn how to apply color. I want to learn how to apply background color. I want to learn how to apply font properties. I want to learn how to apply text properties. I want to learn how to apply different kind of selectors. I want to learn how to give the positions. I want to learn how to manipulate the things, how to operate the things, how to give the styles, how to give the cosmetics. When I want to learn all these things, first of all, you should know the HTML. I hope everybody good practice in HTML, then only I will start the CSS now. Is it clear now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, let me go with the CSS. Okay, CSS is not programming. Don't worry about it. If you want, I will save this diagram also for you. You can observe this diagram. Later you can work with that. Let me save the diagram also. This diagram is basically giving you a clear picture about the differences between the HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So what's the difference between the HTML, CSS, and JavaScript? Yeah, let's say. One more diagram I will show. Yeah, HTML is skeleton, CSS is style, JS is functionality. HTML is skeleton, CSS is styles, JavaScript is functionality. This diagram also good diagram. You can watch this diagram also for understanding.
Sir, one question.
Yes, please.
Sir, with the use of HTML, we create the website. With the use of CSS, we design the content above that, like you are saying. But when it comes to JavaScript, so we have to move on. That means like after designing the web page. So with that design web page, what we have to do with using JavaScript?
With using JavaScript,
Means,
for example, you take a Facebook application, you take a Twitter application, you take Instagram application. See, if Instagram application is live, then you are the user of Instagram. You can able to create an account in Instagram. Am I correct?
Yes.
You can able to.
Nowadays,
Yes, please.
in HTML, we see a lot of games.
Yes, games also with JavaScript. Without JavaScript, there is no game. Inbuilt some JavaScript is available for that.
How is it
Functionality.
included?
Functionality. See, when I come to JavaScript, then you can able to understand how JS is actually integrating for the HTML. See, if you click some buttons, if you are playing a game, a ball game, okay, what do you want to do is you want to tap on the ball. You want to tap on the ball. How this tapping is happening for the ball? The ball is HTML component. Your tapping is JavaScript. But when you tap, the ball is basically jumping. How ball is jumping is JavaScript. Your tapping is JavaScript, ball jumping is JavaScript, scorecard is actually running for you. The scorecard also JavaScript.
Sir, how do we upload it?
How do we?
Upload it with the iframe or another?
No. No, iframe not. JavaScript, we need to write JavaScript for that. See, when I come to JavaScript, then you can understand. Don't confuse right now,
Okay,
okay? Don't go forward. So we are now in the part of CSS. We are just giving some styles and all. When I come to JavaScript, then I will write some functionality for the components. Then you can understand, okay, how this button is interacting with me. When I am clicking on button, this button is listening. This button is listening, and this button actually fire with some event. When the event fired, some concept is going on in the background. What the concept, how the concepts are actually implementing. All these things we can see. Okay, let's go with the CSS
Okay.
now. Theoretically, CSS is basically cascading style sheets. CSS is cascading style sheets, and CSS is not programming. Not programming. One more important point: CSS works on top of HTML. One more point: CSS is using for apply styles, provide decorations, apply cosmetic changes for HTML. Okay. Now, CSS we can write in 3 different ways. In 3 different ways. CSS we can write in 3 different ways. There is the one more example I will show, the funny example in the internet. HTML versus CSS. You can see a funny example. Heroine will come. Who is the heroine? Katrina. I don't know the heroine name. Yeah. So who is this? I don't know who is the name of this actor.
Deepika Padukone.
Deepika.
Deepika.
Deepika Padukone. Deepika Padukone have HTML and CSS. What is this basic difference between these two? You can observe now. How Deepika Padukone without CSS?
Makeup.
Normal. Yeah, makeup. CSS is makeup, sir. Remember it. CSS is makeup. So without CSS, maybe we can't able to imagine she's heroine or not. But with the CSS, I can able to imagine, okay, she is something. Now you can see she's smiling here. She's smiling here. This is JavaScript. She's acting, she's smiling, she's responding. That is basically JavaScript. Okay, there are a lot of funny images you can able to see in the internet. HTML versus CSS. There are a lot of funny things. You can see the bird. How HTML and CSS. Can you see and observe? Okay. One more image. Can you see HTML? HTML is just like a head and body structure layer. With HTML and CSS, we can give some appearance, we can give some look, all these things. What my point? HTML with HTML and CSS, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So there are a lot of funny images you can able to see in internet. Comparison between the HTML and CSS. Okay, this image. I don't know who is she. HTML after applying CSS. That's good. People are amazing, huh? Okay, anyway, CSS we can write in 3 different ways. What are the different ways? One is the inline CSS. Second one is internal CSS. And third one is external CSS. Inline CSS, internal CSS, external CSS. Okay, now we try to understand what about inline CSS is, then what about internal CSS is, then what about external CSS is. Inline CSS is element specific CSS. Element specific CSS. Inline CSS is element specific CSS. It means what? For each and every element, we need to apply CSS individually. For each and every element, we need to apply CSS individually. Got my point? For example, if I'm having 2 or 3 elements in my web page, okay, I'm having H1, I'm having H2, and I'm having H3. 3 elements are there. Imagine I'm having 3 elements here. In my web page, I'm having 3 elements. Okay, so what inline CSS can do is, for each and every element, individually, we need to apply CSS. Apply CSS. And again, we need to apply CSS for the second element. Separately. Apply CSS. And again, for the third element also, we need to apply CSS separately. So this is headache basically. If you are having thousands of elements, hundreds of elements, every time for each and every element, your writing CSS is very headache. Got my point? But this is mostly not using in the real time. But we are learning how to apply inline CSS also. One more point I will write now, not point. Inline CSS will apply using with style attribute. Using with the style attribute. Got my point? Can you see the points? Inline CSS is element specific CSS. That is the first point, very important point. What is the meaning of this line? What is the meaning of this line? Inline CSS is element specific CSS. What is the meaning of this line? Specifically for each and every element, I need to write CSS. And second point, you can see, for each and every element, we need to apply CSS individually. For each and every element. For example, in my web page, I'm having 100 elements. 100 times I need to write CSS. In my web page, I'm having 1000 elements. 1000 times I need to write CSS. Example web page, I'm having 3 elements here. For these 3 elements, I am writing 3 times CSS. Can you got to observe? Apply CSS, apply CSS, apply CSS for each and every element separately. And one more note point I'm writing, inline CSS will apply using with the style attribute, remember it. Attribute you know now. How to write attributes? How to write attribute? How to write attribute? Tell me, for this H1, I want to write some attribute. How to write attribute? In the open tag, we need to write attribute. Style is equal to single quotes or double quotes. Style is equal to single quotes or double quotes. That is something like attribute and value. So values are okay. Suppose I want to give a color. Color is one attribute. Key value pair. Color is the key. Red is the value. Or color is the attribute name and value is the red. This attribute is different. This attribute is HTML attribute. This attribute is color CSS attribute. This is the main attribute for HTML tag. This is the style attribute and attribute name is color, attribute value is red. Got my point? For example, this is my first H1. First H1 style is red color. Okay, let me write the second H1. Second H1 color is something like a green color. Third H1, maybe this is the blue color. Now you got to understand how the things are going to be working. What is the first H1 color? Now, if I execute the program, if I write the program, this one I'm writing a program. If I write this program, how first H1 should be look like?
Red.
Red. Second H1 green. Third H1 blue. Obviously. Why? Because individually style is providing. Maybe the property name is same. The property name is same. What is the property name here? Color, color, color. Every time color. Color, color. Which color? Red color, green color, blue color. Okay, let me copy this program. Go to the program. Let me open VS Code. Sir, CSS is very, very interesting and very, very simple. If you know properly HTML, CSS learning is dead easy. Damn easy. Okay. So let me go and open my folder. Today folder is 11 by 8. Open folder 11 by 8. Okay. Inside this folder, I want to create a new program. Let me create a new program. File, new file, and save it as inline CSS. Inline CSS .html. See, every file is .html file only. We are writing CSS inside HTML. We are injecting CSS inside HTML, or we are injecting CSS on top of the HTML. Remember it. That is the why reason you always need to be create HTML file. Browser can able to understand only HTML file. Browser can able to understand only HTML. On top of the HTML, you may give CSS. On top of the HTML, you may apply JavaScript. On top of the HTML, you may apply Bootstrap. On top of the HTML, you may apply jQuery. On top of the HTML, you may apply some React.js, Angular, Vue.js, Knockout.js, Ext.js, Ember.js, whatever it may be. But browser can able to understand only HTML. On top of the HTML styles and decorations, we are giving CSS. Functional part, there are multiple libraries. JavaScript libraries are there. You want to apply any JavaScript library? Yes, definitely you need to create HTML file first. Okay, I'm trying to working on CSS now. I'm trying to working on inline CSS now. But file extension is .html itself. Got my point? So you may ask a question, sir, we are learning CSS today, but why you are giving .html for the file extension? You may ask a question. You got a simple doubt. Like, yes, we need to write HTML content only, but we are writing CSS inside. That's it. We are writing HTML content only, but we are writing CSS inside. H1. What this kind of H1 is? This H1 is what, sir? Red color text. Green color text. Sir, please reply with me. Huh? I'm asking something, please reply with me. Interactive session. My session always should be interactive session. You people have to give me answers. Tell me the first H1. First H1, what color will come?
Red.
Exactly. Red, green, blue. Okay, open in default browser.
Red.
Correct. Now you can feel the output. Regularly, we are writing black and white cinema. Till yesterday, we are actually working on black and white cinema. Today onwards, generation change. Today onwards, generation change. Black and white TV gone. Color TV came into the picture. When JavaScript come into the picture, you will be having the LEDs. You will be having Android TVs. You will be having smart TVs, whatever it may be. That will be through the JavaScript. Now we will be having red color text, green color text, and blue color text. Every H1 is different, na? Look, feel. Every H1 is different, na?
Yes, sir.
Yes, that's
Yes,
fine.
sir.
Okay, so let me give the inline style for the paragraphs also. For first paragraph, I'm not giving any style. Just as it is, I'm just leaving this. For second paragraph, I want to apply some style. Okay, so how to apply style for the paragraph? Where I need to write the style for the paragraph? In open tag. This is inline CSS, sir. We are talking about inline CSS first of all. Okay, style. Which color you want, you can provide it. So I just want to go for the orange color, and font style is going to be good. Font style is italic. I want to go with the italic font style for the paragraph. Then you can see Now we have two paragraphs. But for the first paragraph, I'm not giving any style. I'm not applying any style. But for the second paragraph, I'm trying to apply some style. Then you can see the look and feel for the paragraphs. First paragraph, is there any style we applied? For first paragraph? No. For first paragraph, I'm not applying any CSS. I'm not writing inline CSS. But for the second paragraph, I'm trying to giving some attribute called style, and I'm trying to writing two attributes called color and font style. Color and font style. Yes. This is the way of working with inline style. Inline style means element specific CSS. For each and every element individually, I need to apply CSS. For each and every element individually, I need to apply CSS. See, can you observe? First element individually, second element individually, and the fourth element also individually. Individually, style. But this is headaches. You'll be having thousands of elements in the real time. But for 1,000 elements, 1,000 times style, who will write? So developer get a headache for this. Instead of this, is there any option available? Okay, so let's go for the second way. This is the one kind of CSS applying process. And what is the second kind of CSS applying process is? Internal. This is important. Mostly third one in real time people will use. Internal also people may not use, but learn all the ways. Internal CSS. Internal CSS is what kind of CSS? Internal CSS is page specific CSS. Internal CSS is page specific CSS. Throughout a page, I need to write a CSS file, CSS section separately. Throughout the page, I need to apply CSS separately. Okay, I will try to explore the program, then you can understand. For example, here I'm having a lot of H1s, H1 text. H1. Okay. For every page, we need to write CSS. Let me write another point. For each and every page, we need to apply CSS individually. Okay. For example, I am having heading. I'm having heading here. Okay, let me have a lot of headings. Control C, Control V, Control V. I'm having style tags. Here we need to apply style tag. Style tag open, style tag close. Inside the style tag, I need to give the CSS for the H1s. H1, and this is basically called selector. Open curly braces, closing curly braces is called selector. Color red. Now you can see and observe what it can do. What is the output? You can guess. What is the output of this particular page? You can guess. For example, this is the page. I'm writing some page.html.
All of them are red color.
Guess the output of. Guess the output of the page.
Text color is red.
Okay. How many red color text will come?
3.
3 exactly. 3 exactly. Why? Because of all similar elements I can able to select. What are the all similar elements? H1, H1, H1. H1 is available for 3 times. So I am writing page level CSS. Page level CSS is a common selection. I need to select all the common elements at single time. Common elements are H1s. I am selecting all common H1s at single time and giving or applying a CSS attribute called color, and red color I'm giving. Then automatically all your 3 elements got a red. Got my point? Okay. Let me explain this program practically. Okay, here the point is one more important point. 2 note points we need to write here. First note point is very simple point. Okay, internal CSS will be creating with style tag. style tag. So how this will be? Style tag open, style tag close. Style tag open, style tag close. Then one more important node point, second node point. This is the first node point. You have to remember. Internal CSS will be creating with the style tag. The second important node point is style tag always contain. Okay, don't write a number of style tags, only one style tag. One style section for the HTML. Style tags always contains selectors. Sir, meeting is going to be ending in 2 minutes. After ending this meeting, you people please join one more time. Remember this point. Meeting is going to be ending in 2 minutes. If meeting is going to be end, please join one more time immediately.
Yes.
Okay. Style tag always contains selectors. Now you may ask a question. So third important point, sir, what is selector? What is selector? This is a question. Selector is something. Selector is selecting point, selecting similar or non-similar elements from HTML to CSS. Selection. Selector is selection. Selection is something like picking, carrying, holding, or reference. Selector is something like reference. Selector is reference from HTML to CSS. See, can you please tell me what is the reference here in this selector, in this particular style tag? What is the reference here?
H1.
H1 is the reference, correct? H1 is the reference. But what is the syntax of the selector? Syntax for the selector. Syntax for selector. Selector name, open curly braces, closing curly braces. Open curly braces, closing curly braces. Inside that, attributes you can write. CSS attributes. Inside that, CSS attributes. A number of CSS attributes. Multiple selectors, multiple CSS attributes. This is one section. Maybe you can have a number of selectors.